Welcome to the Eagle Eye Podcast. The #1 show to bring you all things Club America and English.
Oh, what a strike! Club America!
Your hosts for today are Ivan Pineda, Cristian Rosendo, Alexis Juarez, and everyone's favorite cowboy, Dylan Jimenez. Go! Now let's hit the field and start the show.
America! Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another episode of the Eagle Eye Podcast. We're going to be talking all things Lady Aguilas. Today, we're going to be recapping those two draws on the road against Juarez and Mazatán and be looking ahead into the future, which is going to be the Clásico Joven against Cruz Azul. And joining me tonight, as always, is our Lady Aguilas expert, none other than Brooklyn's very own AJ. AJ, how are you, my friend?
Doing good. We have plenty to talk about today, so I'm really excited. It's been a while as well since I do a Lady Aguilas podcast episode. So,
yeah, it's been a cool little minute, right? We had the international break. That was nice for some of the ladies that got some rest, although the results didn't look like that. And it was also good for us. We got a little bit of a break in between. But with that said, we have plenty to talk about. Hashtag Harrington out at this point, AJ. Is that a little bit too extreme for me to say?
it's a little extreme, but we'll see at the very end of the season. We'll see.
We'll definitely very much see. But before we go into the nitty gritty of it all, I do want to say happy International Podcast Day to everyone out there today. In a day where we celebrate and remember all those podcasts out there that are doing the great job, and also celebrating our listeners on this one, because this podcast wouldn't be anything without their support, and of course all of you guys, the co-hosts that make this a possibility. So AJ, happy International Podcast Day, my friend.
Likewise, I still can't believe even today I would be on a podcast. So here I am now.
And believe me, if you feel like that, think about me. When we started 4 years ago, I definitely was not ever thinking of getting this far in anything, really. And we have Chris Rivera saying, happy National Podcast Day, brothers. Thank you, Chris. Your love and support is always greatly appreciated. He said, take a shot, both of you, right now. We can't because we are not in the soccer pitch, but we'll take a shot of water. I thought he meant like an actual shot. I was gonna put upper left corner, AJ. I've been practicing all that all week.
I mean, you'd probably do that in your typical Sunday league match after game. So
yeah, definitely crossbar challenge. But yes, of course, thank you to everyone that makes this a possibility for us. The listeners is truly what keeps us going. And again, you guys are the true inspiration behind everything that we do. And we have such a really cool plan for you guys, and I'll talk to you guys about that in just a moment, a little bit later on in the podcast. We have something special in mind for the anniversary for Club America that we want to have you guys at the heart and center of it. So again, we'll get you guys all that details and more in just moments time. But AJ, let's talk business first. América Femenil versus FC Juarez. Let's take you back 2 weeks ago. Is it 2 or 3 weeks ago at this point, AJ? I can't remember. But point is, it was a while back. América Femenil coming into this one after that bitter draw against Pumas in the Clásico Capitalino at home. The way that we dropped those 2 points, it really felt as a loss. So we knew coming into this game against Juarez, it was going to be detrimental to walk away with 3 points, get things rolling back up again, and build up that momentum. AJ, what went wrong? Because this game did not pan out exactly the way many of us were expecting. I would even argue Harrington.
Seems like last time when we did face against the Juarez, remember, our assistant coach Luis was saying we made this game harder than it was supposed to be against the Juarez side. That was definitely struggling. This season seems to be the same exact story. We did have an opportunity in the 15th minute score a penalty. Jenny Farias gets it saved by Diana Garcia, and I'm just disappointed. Okay, the chances will come soon enough. Second half, they scored first, and then at this point, from a set piece, the player was completely unmarked. She just had the free opportunity to just head the ball into the back of the net. Took us away until the 83rd minute to finally get a chance. It was via penalty again. Was I satisfied with it? No, because if this definitely should have been a match we should have completely dominated. And considering with the line that we did have against FC Juarez as well, but just looking at stats as well, we were dominating possession as always, but really only 3 good shots on target. And Juarez, surprisingly, they had 4. They had more than us. So really, I understand what was going on with this team against Juarez. I understand it's an away game, it's a travel. At the same time, though, considering it's against a team that's second to last time I remember, you feel like this should have been an easy 3 points, considering as well the next coming games for America Femenil is going to be really tough ones for them.
Yeah, and funny here, Chris saying I'm gonna listen to the women's side because the men's been frustrating. Hope it's positive with the women, and I think we've already answered that question. It isn't, AJ. It isn't positive at all. And we haven't even gotten to the Mazatlan game. But coming into this game against Juarez, like we talked about, it was important and to trying to build up that momentum, build up that kind of confidence again. And having Janely Farias miss a penalty isn't that helpful at all. Now, I know Janely Farias has been under a bit of spotlight lately, because of her work right now with CBS Sports. A lot of people saying, 1 minute you're on the pitch, the next you're flying over there, you're practicing with the team, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I don't think it was a bit of much of an issue until maybe at this point where you're starting to see things like this happen. It makes it builds that tension even more. Now that people were like, well, then you probably should have been at practice, lining up those penalties rather than doing your side gig, which I get. Fans can sometimes be a little bit irrational. But it is a thing that, Janely Farias is a little bit under the hot seat because the performances just haven't been lining up with what we are used to seeing from her, especially in the penalty department, right? She was just as clutch as anyone on that pitch. And then, like you mentioned, the other thing was the worrisome sign of it all is that, our attacking side looks extremely good. But the fact that we're only able to take 3 shots on target and not generate enough to score more than 1 goal, I think that is what really should be the key takeaway from these 2 games. I'm already skipping away to the Mazatlan game because the reality is, even if we're making chances, we're not converting them.
Yeah, no, that's just the story for America Femenil just this season overall. So many opportunities that we're having, but we're not being clinical about it and not converting any of those chances into goals. Really, against the Mazatlan game, it's the same exact story. We dominate in possession, similar numbers to what we had against FC Juarez. Same thing again, only 4 shots on target compared to maybe out of the 10 shots I say we've had in that match, only 4 were able to be on target. Mazatlan had 3. They were only 1 shy of tying the same amount of shots that we've had on target and with less possession as well. And it seems like in this game against Mazatlan, we had Kiana Palacios, Dani Espinosa, and Steph Ribeiro as our front 3 in the 4-2-2 formation. And we couldn't bag away no goals. Which
that is the key thing to take away from the Mazatlan game, which we'll get into just a second. I don't want to skip over this Juarez game just yet. I think there's a little bit more to talk about before we wrap it up. But that is a key factor that we're going to get into, because the fact that you have that front trio and you're only able to generate 1 goal and 4 shots on target out of 10, that's less than 50%. So that's actually 40%.
That's that Mazatlan game. We only had Dani up front for the game against Juarez, but even that, considering when you have players when you have someone like Maleon and Montse Hernandez, you expect as well against a side that's completely struggling throughout this entire season, we get back 3 goals. But like we always mentioned before, if it's a team that's struggling in the league and they play against America Femenil, they will give their 110% and make it the toughest game that all season. Which is
I like to call it the America effect, right? I mean, you've seen it with the men's side of things. Teams that struggle and that lose to like the last team in the league come in and play their best game of the season. Because why? It's the jersey, because the badge. That's the reason. That's the reality. And Juarez was no exception at that point. Again, it's not an excuse though. And I know it's a road game. I know it's away. I know it's 2 games that you have to travel. But you can't go into this latter stage of the season and pretend to be a playoff contender and go into Juarez and only be able to generate 3 shots on target, miss 1 penalty, only score your only goal via another penalty, and think that you have a shot at claiming the title. Like that's irrelevant at this point, So that is the frustrating side of it all. I mean, defensively, what's going on with us, AJ?
The thing is, I feel like defensively we seem to be fine. Like I'd say our fullbacks are perfect for us this season. I'd say so myself. As the center backs, I mean, Farias and Josh, they're doing great, but there's just those moments when you really do not want to concede a goal. We end up conceding the goal. And just for the set piece right there, you'd think that with someone as tall as Josh and someone as very defensive as Andy Farias, you'd think there's no possible way they will tower you or even have open space and just head the ball or just a one-time touch and put it in the back of the net. It happened against the FC Juarez match, and everyone looked so lost to what just happened, including me. I just looked at that. I'm like, that did not just happen. And looking back at the replay, I'm just like, she's unmarked and had a free goal. And Masha couldn't do anything about it at that point. That ball's right in the back of the net, and it's just, I understand. Is there miscommunication? It seems like it feels like a similar story with the men's side thing when it comes to set pieces. You are praying that we do not concede, even though it's most likely going to happen, or a foul's going to happen in the box and turns into a penalty. So it's like pick your poison at that point.
It's interesting how both the women's and the men's side kind of correlate each other, right? With especially right now in the stage of the season, they're both in kind of the the deeper end of it all, both struggling, both only getting draws at this point. But alas, I'm not to say that this is the end of the world for America. It's just expectations were starting to get back up to there because of the way we're playing. And even in these games where we're not playing our best football, like you're mentioning, we're dominating. We're still a very possessive side. We're moving the ball. We're trying to be as direct as possible. I will argue that maybe sometimes our more creative players aren't doing their job, but you're still, quote unquote, the better team on the pitch for the majority of the match, right? There's spells where the other team maybe takes advantage of it. For example, Juarez and Mazatlan both took advantage of their momentums, and we conceded. And I think the one thing that's frustrating me the most is that those lapses of concentration from the defense continue to happen, AJ. This is something that we've been maybe highlighting for over a year now. And, since the incorporation of Jocelyn, which we thought was going to kind of fix this issue, seems to have still lingered. Now, I'm not saying it's as constant as before, but you notice that there's these lapses of concentration that have cost us. Look at the own goal that we conceded against, who was it, AJ, that we conceded that own goal? Toluca, right? It was against Toluca. That Jocelyn tries to pass it back at Renata Mascherelli. They're both in like two different worlds and they're not communicating properly. And like those type of things just shouldn't be happening, right? But they're being a little bit more constant now since that game against Toluca, and we just haven't been able to shake it off. And I think that's what's really sometimes hurting us, and it's going to hurt us in the long run if we can't find a way to fix it.
Yeah, no, just really, like these last couple games, while we've gone 3 games without a win so far. They're all been draws, and it just seems like we're looking lackluster. I mean, like that Pumas game, we had it in the bag, and then substitutions cost us along with just us not really marking players at all. Not even just playing on defense, but just like anyone in general, just mark your players. Make sure they don't have that open space and opportunity to get a shot on goal. And we paid that against Pumas in the similar exact way, where it ended up being a long shot from 30 yards out, goes right in, and then from there you're just like, we seriously tied the match because of a defensive mistake. And with Juarez, the same thing. Like, we're possessive, we're getting a lot of passes, we're creating these chances, but we cannot convert them. But then when the other team gets that one golden opportunity, they make the most out of it, score. From there on, they're like, we're just gonna park the bus or just make defense substitutions just to get America riled up even more. And then at that point, if they get caught in the counterattack again,
lights out. And look, at the end of the day, it wasn't the best result, but we knew that going into Juarez, it's always a difficult ground, especially, with the travel and everything. Still, not an excuse. We expected 3 points. The fact that we got a draw is not acceptable. And again, it's 2 points dropped, not 1 point gain. That's the way I see it. And that's the way I think a majority of us see it. Heck, I would even argue that's how Harrington sees it as well. So, we got to pick it up from there. And we thought we would, right? We thought, okay, international break, Mazatlan, let's take care of business, right? Well, that wasn't the case. And you even had strong, promising lineup. Like you looked at that lineup, AJ, and you saw, wow, this is easily 2-3 goals tonight. Like we got this. And boy, were we wrong to think that. 100% wrong to think that. Like, it's just you just mentioned it. Our front three was Dani, Ribeiro, and Kiana. Like you thought, easily, one of these is bagging a hat trick somehow, you know. But it just didn't work out. For you, what went wrong in the attacking side of things, AJ? We'll get to the defensive side of things because again, I think there's some stuff to talk about in that department. But as far as the attacking side of things go, what went wrong? We had a little bit more shots on target than the last game, right? One more though. But you're not converting the way that you should be. Is it the fact that we have three potent strikers, quote unquote strikers up top, that maybe they're just kind of getting in each other's way? Is we're still trying to find our footing going forward? What happened against Mazatlan that we were only able to walk away with one goal?
Not even one goal. 0. We got nothing.
Yeah.
But like the thing is, I'm not understanding what's the issue here. Could it be the formation? Yeah, because you don't see Palacios playing as a winger. Danya, I understand that. She's a winger now. So you could put her in that position. She's fine. Ribeiro, it's just that thing. Like, the thing that's going to worry me, Ribeiro, it's going to get to a reaching point where if she continuously keeps missing these opportunities, it's upsetting because Craig said this is the player he really wants on his team. The worst case, like, I'm going to have to bench you and just either put Blue or Huerta if needed to try to do something, or they're going to just have to move Donnie back up front there. It's like, you're going to have to do the job. We're having countless opportunities. How many times do we really need to get good opportunities for us to just bag in a goal? And the thing is, Ribeiro, I think she maybe only had one good chance. All the chances mostly came from Kiana. And in the last moment, you really think she's got this. It's a one-on-one situation really with the goalie. The defender's just behind behind Kiana. Kiana just doesn't take a good shot. She puts that ball so far to the left that Harrington just had his hands over his head. He's just like, that did not just happen. Even Kiana is like looking, so she's like, I cannot believe I just did that. I don't know what's honestly going on. If I have to give you the real answer, I don't know. I really do not understand.
Well, maybe let's bring in someone that maybe does know, and it's someone that knows how to score a goal. Let's bring in our Cowboy expert himself, none other than Mr. Dylan Jimenez. Dylan, how are you, my friend?
I'm doing good. Happy Sunday.
Happy Sunday for you, my friend, seeing as how your work schedule's been all shifted around. But it's happy Thursday for many of us here in the normal world. Glad that you can come on. Glad that you're able to talk a little bit of Lady Aguilas with us. I know that you've been a little bit swamped with football season and everything. But just to kind of pick your brain here, 2 games, 2 draws, 3 games, actually 3 draws for Harrington's side lately. I mean, for you, how do you fix this if you're Harrington? How do you get them back on the horse?
Well, like you have the caption of this episode, draw after draw. So
yeah, draw after draw.
Draw after draw. So there's one thing there. No, kind of right when I entered, I heard AJ talking about the ladies getting a lot of chances. Chance after chance. You see that a lot. It kind of goes back to the start of when we started this, Ivan. We talked about before we even had the feminine side, we talked about the men's side. Just having your shooting boots, and that's just something that the players have to bring. Harrington necessarily can't bring that to the team. I think he has a team playing fairly well. Obviously there's some things I don't like. There's some things I do like that's been going on with the team. But at the end of the day, it's going to come down to the players and them fighting on the back of the net. That's something that Harrington can't do himself.
I like that because it makes me allude to the fact that there's possibly maybe like an hour more that these ladies can stay by themselves and just train to finish. I feel like that's something that you're looking at a Kiana Palacios, a Ribeiro. Let's be honest, because Ribeiro is the one that's missing these chances left, right, and center sometimes. And she's got she I don't know what her and her relationship with the post is, but she always seems to be able to find it. Like, it's ridiculous. Like, if you want a crossbar challenge mate, then she is the one to go to. She's gonna carry you the whole way. but I think to what Dylan alludes to, AJ, is actually, interesting. I do think that, the ladies need to go and refine themselves in front of goal, find those shooting boots. You talked about it against Mazatlan, a chance that you'd put everything, like Christian would say, you'd bet the house on Kiana putting that chance away, right? And just like Christian last week, you would have lost it all, because that's the reality of it. I mean, what more could you add to that, AJ?
I mean, because like here's my thing, and like I'll like you throw it to AJ, and I'll throw it to AJ. So sorry to interrupt you, but AJ, have you necessarily been like, I guess, upset or mad and asking question Harrington, like, what are you doing with these lineups?
Honestly, at times I look at formations and constantly switching. I'm just like, go back to your usual 4-2-3-1. If it's working, it's working. Don't constantly mix around with the formation and throwing in like a bunch of different players, especially when you're putting in positions you don't want them to be in. Yeah, I get mad with them at times and wondering what's up.
Yeah, no, I mean, go ahead, Ivan. Go ahead.
But I don't necessarily think he experiments as much as a Cuellar does.
Yeah.
Let's be honest.
Mhm.
And I think that's what Dylan, maybe you were alluding to, because the reality of it is we have consistency in the back. It doesn't show it because we've been leaking goals lately, but we've had that consistency that I remember when me and you first started this, Dylan, we were asking for that consistency because we didn't know who the goalkeeper was going to be 2 games from now, right? And that's the thing that Harrington's brought is some consistency. You even seen in the midfield, like AJ, who is the most prominent midfielder that Harrington has? Who's his number one midfielder that's played for the majority of the season?
Cascuevas.
Exactly, right? There's that trust in that. And for a fact, if it wasn't for these injuries, you probably would have had Kiana Palacios start the majority of all these games, and Danny would have been on the right, not having to alternate. The reality of it is, I feel like Harrington at least has that consistency. Maybe he's had to tweak stuff around because AJ, you and me both know, covering this season, injuries have plagued us yet again, right?
Mhm.
We lost Kiana, we lost Ribeiro. I mean, we've lost an abundance of players. Gladly, we're starting to find them back into the team. But I think for the most part, you're looking at a much more well-rounded squad as far as consistency goes, in regards to what we had in the last tenure against in regards to Cuellar. So whilst yes, you're right, AJ, there's times where you're like, well, why are you switching this up? This isn't really a match where we think we could be needing to switch up. I do think some of those have been forced, unfortunately. But for the most part, you can't say that, when Cuellar used to put out a lineup and you used to maybe do a double take and be like, really, you're gonna put this person here and you're gonna play this here? I think with Harrington, you're just more like, well, why are we switching this all of a sudden? It's not so much, as far as how I feel, it's not as drastic of a change as it was in regards to Cuellar.
The thing is as well though, like some of these substitutions as well, I kind of like question. Like the last times I'm like, I'm good with this line, I'm solid. But then when it comes to the change, it's like, if we are clearly up by goals, if we're looking tired on the pitch, just make some defensive subs. It's not gonna hurt. It's okay, fine. Just play it slow at that point. We're desperately needing a goal. Yeah, let's add in the offense. The thing is, you do it at such a late time where it's like you could have maybe done this at the half, though. It's necessary. It doesn't help as well when at times in midfield and the midfield looks dead because he subs like Abel Gonzalez like at halftime. I'm just like, that's like the heart of your midfield when it comes to the defensive side of things. We look dead in midfield without it because no one cannot control that entire midfield defensively. So really, for Craig, I mean, it's starting to look like the Ghost Christmas past with last season where it's like we're starting to struggle again, and that's not good because we're at that point of the season where it's like we really cannot be messing up because these next games, they're all against top 6 teams. The only team that's not in top 6 at the very moment is Leon. It's literally everyone else is a top 16 that you will most likely be seeing in Liguilla.
And you haven't really said that about Cruz Azul in a cool minute, so it puts a little bit more flavor on next week's match.
I to say top 8, then yeah, but I wouldn't be surprised if they make the push to top 6. So
yeah, I mean, but still, they're much more higher in the table than what we're used to seeing them, especially when we face them. but it's always going to be an interesting debate as to all this stuff, especially substitutions. I think those are always a tricky thing. Correct me if I'm wrong, Dylan, but I don't think we've had a manager in America for both the men's and the women's side that's nailed substitutions properly. It's always a little too early, or it's always a little too late.
Unless you want to give credit to Ruben Hermano. So
yeah, unless you want to give credit to him, who I think always had his substitutions on point. He just didn't have the squad to perform with. But yeah, look, tricky situation. The only positive you can take away from this AJ in this match against Mazatlan is the fact that you walk away with a draw. I mean, not a draw, excuse me, a clean sheet, right? Which is, I think, something to build upon, especially after we were talking about the lapses, concentration between Janely Farias and Jocelyn Oregel at times. The fact that you're able to keep this clean sheet, doesn't mean that Renata wasn't, getting her money's worth out there. She definitely had to make a couple saves here and there. But seems to be the natural routine for her at this point with this team. Again, the only thing I can salvage from this is the fact that you get a draw. You can build upon that, build some momentum from the defense, and find your footing against Cruz Azul, which I think is going to be the most important part to play for at the end of the day. So, I mean, would you add anything else to that, AJ?
No, really, honestly, just... we cannot mess up from now on. That's all I'm gonna say to Harrington. We cannot mess up. We mess up. We mess up in like our next 6 matches. It is going to be pain. Because then at that point, I forbid we do not make Liguilla somehow. Because if so, then that's gonna be a big red flag.
I just want to see the chances finish. That's it mostly. I mean, again, I'll kind of reiterate on that. Again, I think the team's playing fairly well. I mean, obviously, there's some things that can be cleaned up. There's some things that they're doing well. Obviously, like you said, Ivan, with the clean sheet, this is still kind of leaking goals, but you're hoping to build momentum in. But you want the momentum build, up front, attacking, especially finishing in the final third. That's where I feel like we can't mess up the most going into these next few games.
Yeah, and that's what I was trying to allude to right now. AJ brought up some great points. We dropped 6 points in these last 3 games that on paper should have been W's, secure W's, right? That is a lot of points. And now you've turned the corner at the point of the season where there's no return. There's no such thing as an easy game from now on. You mentioned that, AJ. Top 8 sides from here on out till the end. Potentially Leon is the only quote unquote easy favorable matchup, but that's the last game of the season. So you can't even think about that right now. You have to go through Cruz Azul, and you got 2 back-to-back Clásicos. You got a Joven and you got a Nacional. So you got to think Cruz Azul, then you got to travel to Chivas, and then, just to read the last one after that, you're going to be receiving Tijuana. Look, you got a lot on your dinner plate at this point. Like, you just got to go all out. And so you're right. We need to build up on something. And you're right, AJ. We cannot not afford to drop points at this point, because you're dropping points against rivals that are going to be scaling you in the table. That is the real important part that you have to keep in mind. So the ladies have to, up and up. And like Dylan said, they have to play their part too. I know a lot of the responsibility lies on the shoulders of the manager, as rightfully so, but there's got to be some accountability on these players as well. And I think that's something that we even talked about during the Cuellar tenure, that there was at times where I get it. Maybe the locker room situation isn't good, but you have to play for yourself. Not for yourself, excuse me. You have to play for this team, for this institution, and you got to earn it sometimes. So, again, it falls back to those kind of premises and morals of a player that you got to go out there and perform, because you do represent America. And that's the most important part. Again, we're not in the crisis that we were last season.
No.
Believe me, this is we
you
take
heard that,
this
AJ?
way.
We're not in the crisis we were last year, AJ.
Oh, God. At least it's not that. At least ain't that. So
yeah, it's not. So there's some positive to take away from that. But again, it is what it is. America gets yet another draw. That is 3 consecutive draws in the season. Harrington knows he's got to turn it around. And I think the ladies know at this point as well. but we'll see what happens. But all right, gentlemen, moving on before we get any Coapa news and updates from AJ. I just want to remind everyone that today's episode is brought to you by Foot Cult. If you guys haven't done so already, make sure you get to check out footcult.com. Get whatever products you would like at a discount rate of 10% by using discount code EEP at checkout. Again, that is discount code EEP at checkout for all Foot Cult products. Again, thank you to Foot Cult for sponsoring to this episode, which, by the way, we're going to be dropping a little something soon with them in a couple of weeks. So if you guys want to stay tuned in regards to that aspect, make sure you guys check them out. Follow them on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, as they are up and coming with some amazing stuff, some amazing gear. All right, gentlemen, moving on. Coapa news updates. AJ, anything at all in the world of America Femenil?
Start things off with the Mexico women's national team. They won 2-0 against Colombia. Danny Espinosa played 79 minutes. She did get a shot in that game, which almost turned to a goal. Unfortunately, hits the crossbar, but nice to see she played 79 minutes, though she did not look at her greatest, but getting minutes is always good. Justin Arhead started and played the full 90 minutes. Natalia Acuna and Montse Saldivar, they've returned from the U20 and U17 sides. They're back with training with the team, though. There was no Montse Saldivar at all for the bench of those two games, which I'm going to also assume it's because she just came back from the national team, but because she was in another country, I'd assume she'd have to do protocols to follow that, along with Acuna. And then the U17 squad, we finally have it. And Liga MX Femenil, we finally have a U17 squad. And this team is looking pretty soft from what I've seen. The youngest player on this roster is Carola Acuna at 13 years old. So,
my God,
13 years old. And then actually, Emilio Lara, who plays for the sub-20, he actually has a sister on that team, and Camila Lara. She's a defender just like her brother. So look at that. It's in the blood. It's in the blood. Playing for America. Two players. We have two players from the United States actually. Alexa Soto, she's from Texas, and Mia Flores, she's from California.
Shout out.
That's the first thing that I looked immediately. I was like, I want to see where every single one of these players are from. And when I saw the two of them from the States, I was like, let's go. I like that.
Like now we need someone from New York to complete the circle.
Please. I would love that. I would support them wholeheartedly, 100%. I'd buy their jersey from the get-go. And they will kick their season off on October 10th. But the thing is, there's only 8 jornadas, considering, if I'm not mistaken, there are, I think it's 13 teams, which I'm surprised to how not the rest of the league don't have their squads assembled yet. So,
well, look, that's
weird.
a tough situation, AJ. That's some financial situations, and we can get into that, but I don't.
Can you give a JD update?
JD update. I mean, she's playing at university.
She's playing in college.
He's playing in college. Is at Liga MX Femenil club side? No. So, but she's doing good though. She's been training. She's adjusted to life in the United States. So
you're giving good remarks.
Props to her. It's like Alexia Delgado when she went to the States as well after she left America. Props to her. But who knows? Maybe Jay will make a comeback at some point to the league. Would it be with America? I don't know.
But I hope it's not.
AJ hopes not, but me and Dylan will still die on the hill that she deserves to be the number 1.
Look, okay. Like, she's great. She essentially played half of the games for us in that title run when Cece was out. I'm pretty sure it was due to injury. She's done well. She's great. I'll give credit to where it's due. Just at times she looks really nervous after conceding goals. She looks like a dead soul. I'm just like, it's one goal. It's okay. It's fine. Get the defense running again, but that's just me. That's what I see.
It's a mental aspect. A lot of goalkeepers suffer through because of that when in their younger side of their career. It's a mental aspect that they have to overcome. And you're right. She'll learn that over time. So I promise you, Ceci was the same, and look at where she is now. Right, eating the bench and tigres.
No, I mean she's starting the games too, but
what.
They took kind of away from us too, so like I'm even in more pain from that. She did at least say she wants to come back to America at some point, so that made me happy. So
everyone wants to come back to America. It's America, dude. Come on, life is different. I promise you, life is different at America than any other club in Liga MX. So
you're right.
But all right, gentlemen, let's talk Clásico Joven. Now, AJ, this is an interesting one because, like I mentioned, usually Cruz Azul aren't in the hottest of places when we do play
Mhm.
them. But looking at them now, sitting eighth in the table, and they are playing for some serious points at this point, right? Promising for America the fact that it is at home.
Yep.
Promising also that the fact that Cruz Azul is lost against Atlas, got demolished 3-0 on the road, which, by the way, Cruz Azul haven't looked that good whenever they are on the road. I think only one victory, and it was against Pachuca in the third jornada. So, again, promising signs for America. Yet, again, though, it's like we talked about, the America effect. If anything, Cruz Azul is about to have the game of their life against us. So, how do you prepare for this side?
Look, we need to get that consistency building up. We built some kind of consistency in that final third. Look, we had plenty. We're creating a lot of opportunities. That's great. I would like the opportunities to continue being created, but this time we seriously need to convert those chances that we have into goals. The opportunity you have, you need to make the most out of it and be clinical with that shot. Looking at Kiana, I'm looking at Ribeiro, I'm looking at Dennis Reynoso. Whoever honestly has the ball and has that green light to shoot that ball, make the most out of it because it's a Clásico. This is bragging rights. Both of these teams are going to clash it out. America, they want to continue that streak going. They got 11 wins. They have 11 wins against Cruz Azul. They have Azul has never beaten America at all. The only thing they had was a draw, was a 1-1 draw. But really, this Cruz Azul side is very hungry. This is a very solid roster that they built from last season, which I'd say was even more of an improvement to what they had also into the Liguilla. So really, for Harrington, really put up a strong lineup against Cruz Azul and continue history repeating itself again. Hopefully we'll secure another win against this Cruz Azul side.
Dylan, I already know what you're going to say. Those shooting boots have to be well laced up. But what else do you have for these ladies in order to combat that kind of struggle that they've been having?
I think you just stick to the game plan. I mean, at this point, you're gonna have to stay mentally in the game a whole lot. Despite because you're gonna still miss those chances. I mean, no doubt about it. I mean, you're gonna have those shots on goal that get saved. But just to stay mentally in the game and just follow the game plan and follow through, then there's no doubt I don't feel like this side can beat Cruz Azul and get 3 points and get back on the right track because. You're starting off with this opponent, and I think once you build that stepping stone and realizing that you can do it, then this is a good stepping stone to go forward for the rest of the season and gaining 3 points because this game and 4 is going to say a lot about Harrington and the team.
Yeah, and because of that, I think that they're a little bit in their heads, which is why I think for me, at least the key word for me for these ladies is perseverance. I think that has to be what they take away from this is perseverance. They have to go in, they have to get out of their own head, they have to go and overcome these challenges that their own minds have set up for them because of those chances missed, because of everything. So perseverance has to be kind of the mindset. You got to have that perseverance to go out there and perform, score. If your shot gets blocked, get back on your horse and go try to find it again. And really, like Dylan mentioned, stick to that game plan, which for the most part, they tend to do so, right? Be the possessive side, be the one managing the ball. I don't want to see so many balls getting reset. I do want to see a little bit more adventurous play from whoever is in that creative midfield role. I'll ask you for a predicted lineup right now, AJ, but yeah, I'm looking at whoever starts up top, take chances. Take chances left, right, and center. And if it's Ribeiro, I don't care if you get the post 4 times as long as you score 2 times. Like, for me, that's a good ratio. Like, Get those goals going, get that confidence, driving up again, and that way you can persevere through it all. And now we're talking about a good result against Cruz Azul because you have a Clásico Nacional the following week. So, interesting and important that this team walks away with 3 points at home in front of their fans. Detrimental. This game live on Monday, 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 8 Eastern, 7 Central. AJ, this game going to be live on TUDN?
It's Monday. There's no other games on that day for Monday Night Football. So, yeah, I would really hope that it's on TUDN.
It is. It's international break. So I would hope that TUDN would like to get some ratings, and they would put that game on. Which I
If
think
not,
definitely...
time to go to YouTube and go to the Club America page.
We right.
Oh, that's right. That's right. This game's gonna be broadcasted no matter what. It's a home game, so you guys can either tune into the TUDN, which hopefully will be broadcasted, or it's gonna be the terrible, terrible broadcasting of. Do we even know the man's name who unfortunately has to has to deal with our criticism week in and week out whenever America play? Look, I keep saying this, America. Look, there's three of us here that are more than willing to do this and put a little bit of spice, put a little bit of emphasis on some of these playback calls. There's times where you're just like, he goes quiet for like 2-3 minutes, and you're just like, where did he go? Is he on like his union break? Like, where is he? Like, to be honest. But again, regardless, you're gonna be able to catch this game, whether it's YouTube, whether it's TUDN, or wherever it is that you may plan to watch this. Is a game that you definitely want to keep your eyes on. And because of that, AJ, who is most likely going to be starting for America Femenil on Monday?
Javier Mashirley in goal. Backwards be Alexandra Godinez, Daniel Farias, Jocelyn Roegel, Karen Luna. Midfield's going to consist of Amanda Perez, Eva Gonzalez, Cas Cuevas. Up front, I'm going to keep with that same front three of Dani on the right, Kiana on the left, and Ribeiro as your striker.
Now, Kiana on the left, how do we feel about that?
You see, he needs to really get back into the squad. I feel like that's the spot she's going to really need to occupy. We have yet to play. We did play once with two forwards up front, and they just did not seem to work out. It seems like Harrington favors a formation where really you only have one main forward up front, even though we do see Kiana go in the middle of the box at times to try to be that striker that she can be. But on left, she's got to get some minutes, and left wing, she seems to do just fine. But is it her ideal position? No, but she's going to need this minutes, especially this is the sign that we made. Everyone is looking right at her to be our goal scorer. So far, it's not only like the sign that every America needs to thought that she'd be. So this is like a time she really start proving to herself, especially in the position that she's getting, that she's being put in. So
and look, the reality of it is Kiana came in hot with her goals, right? Like, she was scoring, the first couple of games, like the hype train was real, and rightfully so. She's a very talented player, and she is a natural striker. That's why I mentioned how do we like her on the left, because she can do a job on there, but that's not her position. She's a natural striker. Talking to Jen Munoz, she was like, yeah, Kiana is an out and out striker. Like, she is your go-to forward if you have a chance. And so I do feel like you're going to see a lot of tendencies from her, which is why you see her gravitate towards the middle sometimes, because of the fact that she has that natural instinct to be in the box, try to find a finish. Like we talked to Amy not too long ago at the beginning of the season, where she just mentioned she is just kind of that natural striker that she'll put herself in some awkward positions, but will still find a way to get the shot in. And I think that's something that maybe Ribero's lacks. Right, she is more of a physical striker. She can body people off. She's very technical. She's very gifted in that aspect. But I think in regards to movement wise and kind of being in a natural 9 position, I think Kiana gives you a little bit more than Ribeiro, which goes to what I'm saying. The only reason why she's on the left is because Monse is not there. Like, let's face it, that's Monse's spot. Like, that left hand side, no one's taking away from Monse. Like, that's plain and simple. If Monse was there, then we'd see Kiana right behind Ribeiro, and they could be alternating and switching. But the reality is, Monse is not she's not ready for the game against Cruz Azul. She won't be there, so Kiana's got to slot in.
I mean, she probably will be. She did feature on the bench against Bastard, but the thing is, like, it's still wondering, like, why we have in the bench. But I assume if he does decide to go with the formation change in game, he'd put Monse on the left, someone either in midfield is got the drop, or someone up front, and then you switch because he did the associate. I think it was for Rivera, I think it was, or someone in midfield to come in for a month. So if anything that happens, get onto the middle, and hopefully she can get her shooting boots on that day. Just for everyone in that front three, whoever's going to be, get the shooting boots ready, because we definitely need to see those goals happening in that game against Cruz Azul.
Definitely. Dylan, Dani Espinosa hasn't been the top goal scorer that we know that she has been, but taking on this new role on the right-hand side, being more the creative side of things, do you think she's finally living up to that number 10 jersey that, we alluded to?
I want to give her a little bit more time. I want to give her a little bit more time, see what more that she can do. There's still a lot of games left to play. Like what I'm seeing so far, though, I just want to give her more time and see what she can do towards the end of the season. Hopefully, a good little run in the Liga.
I think the fact that she's on that right hand side, AJ, she's eluded maybe a little bit of the criticism because she isn't in that kind of final third where you see a Rivero, where you see a Kiana sometimes. That she's more of the one setting things up. She has had her chances. She's had her goals this season, but again, I think the fact that she's playing more on the wing, maybe it's been a blessing in disguise for her.
Yeah, no, and especially as well, she's been embracing the role. So because look, on the national team, this is the position that she plays, and can say we have so many forwards up front to choose from. So really, that's another spot that she can play, and that's pretty good as well. And it seems like it definitely takes the pressure off that we've talked time and time again from last year after Lucero Cuevas left. We all look at Dani like you're gonna be our net, you're gonna be the one we're looking for to score the goals. Last season, I think that pressure finally got to her, and then with the signs that we made up front, whether it be Blue playing, Rivero or Kiana, Dani could just do her thing, be that creative player on the right hand side, and just help her team out in any possible way she can. And if the moment comes for her, she'll take the ball, take on a couple of defenders, and take a shot at goal.
Yeah, and also Blue, I'm looking at her to be an impact sub in this game. I think
Mm-hmm.
some tired legs, she could do some really interesting things out there on the pitch. Again, another one of those kind of natural nines that finds herself in promising positions. But alas, I don't think any of us here sitting down are worried about the attacking side of things. I think we know that we can create chances. The question is, can we finish them, right? And I think we've answered that.
Yeah.
They need to go lace up their boots and finish. The real threat, AJ, is the defensive side of things. And it's not so much that we're bad in defense, it's just these lapses of concentration that are costing us moments in the match where then a team gets a goal and they can sit back and they can park the bus, right? And then we have to go and again try to persevere through that. And sometimes these ladies can't, and I feel like it gets in their head, which is why you have these last two performances where you're just unable to get that winning goal. What needs to happen on the defensive side of things? And I think it has to start in the midfield, to be honest. It has to start in the midfield. What needs to happen in order for us to not concede a goal? Because the reality of it is I want to walk away with a clean sheet in this one.
You always want to walk clean.
You always want the clean
no matter what.
sheet. Exactly.
Yeah, of course, obviously. But there's games where you think, okay, we're gonna concede, but it's fine, But this is a game where I'm just like, we can't. Like, we just have to have the most well-rounded game because let's face it, Chivas away is not gonna be easy. So you have to go in there with as high of a confidence as possible.
Look, just everyone in that midfield really is going to need to be in sync with one another. I'm looking at Amanda Perez and Eva Gonzalez, considering they're one of the two defensive midfielders that we're seeing in midfield. Casa's going to be the one, she's the creative player, like that Mozart in midfield. She's going to be bringing that ball up and trying to find those open spaces against her players. But for Eva Gonzalez and Amanda Perez, really, you cannot let really anyone and the other side of midfield just get through you. Fight for every single ball you can, but if it gets to the point, if a ball does pass by them, at that point, that's the moment where the defense just needs to click to get just to wake up and just look to see where that ball is at. Fullbacks, if you're seeing the winger coming towards you, that fullback doesn't definitely need to challenge that winger. Make sure, if needed, you could bring two players onto them to just try to surround them completely so they can't pass that ball back or try to lob the ball up ahead. But really these lapses, we cannot have these lapses happening in defense at all because I feel like it's becoming a recurring theme, and you definitely don't want that in a Clásico, especially against a team against Cruz Azul who are definitely hungry and are looking to finally get their first win against America Femenil in these Clásico matchups.
I agree 100% with what you mentioned, AJ. And I might say something that a lot of people will maybe bat an eye out, but I think the leader on the defensive side of things has to be Jocelyn this one day. I know a lot of people will say Janelli because of her experience, because she is the older player, because she, like I mentioned, national team experience, league experience.
Uh-huh.
But I think this is the moments where you need a player like a Jocelyn Orejet to step up, because let's face it, like out of the two, a lot of people will put their money on Jocelyn, saying that she's the more talented side of things. She is a lot more versatile in the sense of going forward, and we can see what she does on and off the ball, AJ and Dylan. So for me, the most important player on that defensive side, at least the most vocal player that I want to see, has to be Jocelyn. which is a big ask sometimes. But in a Clásico, you need your big players to step up in games that matter. And this is a 3-pointer that you cannot, and I mean cannot, let anything slip or pass by. So what do you need? What do you want to see from Jocelyn on Monday, Dylan?
Just like you said, being vocal, talking with Janelle, talking with the midfielders sitting in front of her. I mean, that's what this game is about too. Being vocal, talking to your players and realizing where the ball is, what you see that they can't see, and et cetera, et cetera. So this is an all-around game, for not just Josh, like you said, Ivan, but for Janelle too. To really step up, because 3 points here is going to be massive going down the road.
Definitely. Like I mentioned, with the Clásico Nacional coming up right around the corner, this has to be the game that catapults you. We have Chris saying Dylan over Christian, and I think a lot of our listeners would definitely agree with that statement. But AJ, for you defensively, between Janelle and Jocelyn, I'm not asking you to pick a favorite here, but I am asking you to kind of pick out something that you want to see from either of them stepping up in this game.
And B, pick a favorite.
These two, look, they're like the perfect duo for one another that complement each other, and the center back positions. Really, just Justice, she's got that height and she's got that versatility. And with Janelle Farias, she's just a brick wall. Just that she's like your last line in defense that you could definitely look towards. If it's not at the Masher, you could always look at the Janelle Farias. Just these two, they've known each other. They played with one another on national team and on the same team now. Really, I just like all you mentioned, just want these two really to just be vocal one another, really just calling each other out. If there's any open spaces you're seeing in defense or in midfield, yell at them, go up, check, secure that spot. Do not let anyone get to that, bring that ball up towards into that spot. Really, just this defense, you really just do not want to see those open gaps where you could see a through ball, a lob, any of that sort, or even if, in this league, it's notorious that you will see a 30-yard or a 40-yard shot, and you will see those shots going in. Make sure that does not happen, because the last thing you definitely want to happen is if a shot like that happens, just know honestly, I'm sorry, it's going to go in, because just goalkeepers in this league just cannot seem to get it, especially when it's just top.
If we concede a 30-yarder, I'm hashtag Masharelli out. I'm just putting it that way. You cannot concede a 30-yarder. I'm sorry. You just cannot. Like a 20-yarder, that makes sense. A 30-yarder out, no. I'm sorry. And okay, one here and there, I can get that, but this is a constant thing with Masharelli that I can't. This you gotta. And she even said herself, she's like, "I'm practicing, guys. I know that I got to do better in those situations." Like, come on! Like, she even came out and said that. Like, so I need to make sure that never happens again. But you're right, AJ, in that sense that those shots are much of a tendency in our league. So close the spaces down. Cut any angle and just completely try to stay as tight and secure and organized as possible in the back. I think that's the key word. Also, organization. But yeah, look, a well-rounded game is exactly what we're expecting. I don't necessarily think that this game is going to end up in a 4-0 victory for America, whilst all of us would love that. Just a good 90 minutes is all I ask for. And that's really the reality of it.
Yeah, and I think from this team, watching them, we've gotten a lot of games for a good 90 minutes from this team. But again, it's just coming down, and finishing those chances, because we can go back and watch a couple games and we can point out the chances that were missed, but we can look overall at the game, excluding those chances, and be like, yeah, this was a pretty solid game overall. And I think Harrington has this team on track in a good spot at the moment, but it comes down to just, lacing them up, double lacing, triple lacing, whatever it has to be to just put it in the back of the net, break the net if you have to.
Like, we have more nets in the back, all right? We've seen them. Leads me to the next question. When would you ever triple lace something, Dylan?
Hey, I'm just saying, like, whatever works. I mean, if you got your pregame, your ritual, something, if you got to quadruple lace your boots, man, just go for it. Do your thing. I'm not gonna complain.
Make that shoe be a part of you. Essentially.
Yeah, there you go.
Let it be one with you. Be one with that shoe, and just look, and it's like, please.
Imagine your routine is to like quadruple lace your cleats, and then your sports brand sends you a new pair of cleats, and it's those sleeveless ones that like those the ones that don't have laces. So now your pre-routine is just messed up. You can't do it anymore. That'd be hilarious. But okay, I get what you guys mean. So whoever scores a goal, we can confirm on the podcast, has quadruple laced their boots on for Monday. So let's see who's the first one to do so. But all right, gentlemen, that pretty much does that. Let's just get some predictions here before we wrap things up. Seeing as how it is your first time here for a little while, Dylan, what is your prediction for the game on Monday against Cruz Azul at home in the Estadio Azteca?
Like AJ said, this Cruz Azul side is hungry. AJ, correct me wrong, they're 8th in the table, right?
Yep, they're 8th in the table.
They're 8th in the table, so I mean, like obviously they're gonna want some cushion, just to make Liguilla. So they're gonna want to win. And this team, America, they've been having some adversity. Me and you both want to see some perseverance from them, and battling through and fighting that adversity. So I'm gonna go with a hard fought 2-1 win for this side.
2-1 victory. All right. Okay. AJ?
I'm thinking the same thing, honestly, 2-1. I definitely feel like Cruz we're not getting this clean sheet. They're going to score a goal on us, but we'll respond back with 2 goals of our own.
You know what? I'm the only one that's going to have faith in this defense. I'm going 2-0 America. I don't know how, but Macharelli is probably going to try to keep out a 30-yard screamer. The minute she does that, then that's when I know this clean sheet's secure.
She keeps out 30. She keeps out the 30-yard, but she gives it 31.
Oh no! Played by that 1 yard.
Oh man.
Well, we'll see what happens, but yeah, that's field goal range. Like you can't get beaten by that, So I'm going 2-0, but still 2-1. It's promising. The 3 points is massive, because like I mentioned, got Chivas next week. So again, get your ducks lined up in a row. Finish your chances, lace up your boots, go out there, perform, and walk out of this Azteca with 3 points, and think about Guadalajara then next. But with that said, gentlemen, I think we're pretty much all wrapped up here. One last thing we do want to mention, because we do have something lined up, and I did tease it at the beginning of the episode. We have something really cool and really special in mind for the upcoming anniversary for America. It's 105 years that America is celebrating, and we want to have you guys, the listeners, at the center of it all. We're going to have a huge kind of podcast event going on. We'll give you guys more details about it later on within the week. But we want to invite you guys all to make sure you guys submit a video talking about what it is to be an Americanista, the culture, the aspect of it all, and what this club means to you. Send us a minute-long video to a link that we will provide for you guys. Head on over to our Twitter account. You guys will be able to see all of that. Make sure you guys submit a video and talking about the club, what it means to you, all that good stuff, and you guys will be featured on said video for the event. So we want you guys at the heart of it all. Talk to us. Let us know exactly what it is to be an Americanista, all that good stuff. And again, we just want you guys to be a part of it all. So to our listeners, to our viewers, if you guys want to be a part of this, if you guys want to get featured on the podcast, make sure you guys submit that video. And again, we just want to extend it, and we always try to find a way to make sure you guys are at the heart and center of it all. So again, thank you to all of you guys. Dylan, you weren't here, but happy International Podcast Day to you, my friend. None of this would be possible. AJ, none of this, not even the lady podcast, would have been possible without Dylan. So really, he is the man to thank for all of this. So thank you again, Dylan, for your creative idea and for letting us be a part of it as well.
He's the reason I'm even here today on this podcast. So he's the whole reason.
He had the final vote, and he was like, he was on the fringe, but you know what? He said, sure, why not? But all right, then. You guys have a wonderful time. Stay safe out there. We'll be back next week to talk things all Clásico Nacional for the ladies. But with that said, gentlemen, you guys all stay safe, take care, and we'll be talking next week. But all right, then. You guys stay safe, wear your masks, and as always, Arriba America. Good night.
Ladies and gentlemen, this was another production of the Eagle Eye Podcast, the #1 source for all things Club America in English. Make sure to follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Eagle Eye Podcast and get all the latest news and coverage. And subscribe to our podcast wherever it is you may listen.